Howdy, folks. I'm a persnickety partridge preening itself in a pearlescent pear tree.
I'm Amber.
And here are more pear trees for us to preen ourselves in.
Pearlescent ones.
Yes, let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Allowing My Sister to Use My Farm as Her Wedding Venue? My late grandpa started his farm while he was in his early 20s. There were financial problems along the way, but it became successful, and he became rich. My late grandmother, who died last year, grew up in the average working class home. My parents come from rich families and went to private schools and Ivy colleges. My mother and father always wanted 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. I'm the youngest out of the 3 girls, and my parents were desperately hoping that their last child would be a boy. But since I was a girl, they were resentful to me, and they didn't show any love to me, and I was pretty much treated like Cinderella. Because my parents showed resentment towards me, my sisters did too, and I was bullied by them, and they got away with it. We were treated differently as they went both to private schools and private colleges. They were also allowed to do whatever they wanted and eat whatever they wanted. I went to a public school, public college, and I was only allowed to eat 3 meals a day. I don't mind going to a public school, but I'm just trying to show how I was treated differently. Well, at the weekends, I was shipped off to my grandmother's so they could have family time. At age 12, I asked my grandmother if I could live in with her, and she agreed. As soon as she asked my parents, they immediately said yes and started packing my bags. Whilst going to my grandmother's at the weekend, she made me work on the farm. Even while living with her permanently, she continued to make me work on the farm at weekends. I hated doing that, having to work on the farm, that is, and looking back, I now realize why she made me do it, as she made me work on the farm as a source of therapy, as I was constantly arguing with her animals, and that was my therapy. I remember spending most of my days sitting with the horses and feeding the chickens. I also spent a lot of time running across her fields. My grandmother sadly passed away last year, and she left the whole estate to me, which my family wasn't pleased about. I decided to leave my job as a lawyer and work full-time on the farm, and I'm so much happier. When my grandmother was alive, she also used part of her fields for a wedding venue and events. She also allowed charities to have events on her farm free of charge. Well, 2 months ago, my sister got in contact with me after 4 years of no contact and said that she's engaged, and she asked me if she could use my grandmother's field as a wedding venue, as she would like to get married there. The thing is that I can't let go of the past, and I've started therapy, but I told her that I need some time to think about it. My first thought was to charge my sister a price for the venue and make it a price that she couldn't afford, but I didn't feel right, so I just simply said no. Now she's passed my number on to my parents and to my other sister, and they're all saying that this is my grandmother's farm and she should be allowed to get married on the farm, and I should even do it for free. My emotions are running pretty high right now, and I need to know if I'm the jerk. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. They may be blood relatives, but they're certainly not family. They only want to use you when you're convenient to them.
Yeah, I mean, this is really what it seems like. It seems like they're just basically trying to use OP and trying to treat OP, they treated them as expendable for all these years, and suddenly now, when OP is useful to them, they're like, oh, can we use your stuff? And they're just trying to bully OP into actual submission in order to do this, And I mean, I can certainly understand them wanting to use the grandmother's farm. I'm sure that they still had a connection to the grandmother. But again, they didn't help out on the farm. They rejected OP. They can't expect that this isn't going to come back and bite them, right?
Right. I mean, OP became like the grandmother's child essentially when she moved in with her. So she has a much deeper connection than the sister does, in that she spent every weekend there, and then every day there after she moved in.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is a problem at all, and I can understand why OP is so resentful over the situation. It sounds like a very anger-inducing and resentful situation to be treated so differently just because you weren't one gender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the worst of this, right? And they should have just been happy to have 3 healthy children, but instead they had to make this weird thing where because OP wasn't a boy, they rejected her and threw her out of the house. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Adventurous Try 1728 says, this is your response. This is the only home that I've ever known. I will not be used by people who threw me away like yesterday's trash when I was a child, and have not chosen to be a part of my life since. You burned the relationship ground years ago. Grandma knew who all of you were as human beings, and she would not be pleased to have you all piling on like you are. Legally, this property belongs to me, and you all know why. Sister may not hold her wedding on my property. If they try to escalate, tell them that you will consider it trespassing if they step foot on your property and actually follow through when one of your parents does, because one of them will, not the jerk. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
A monster landed on Earth, and the first thing he saw was a farmer milking a cow. No wonder you're not getting any music, cried the monster. Your bagpipes are filled with milk.
It was an appropriate one since we did have a farm here. But, yeah, I don't know necessarily that it was the most funny joke I've ever heard before. And I have Earl Grey. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday! And folks, do you know what makes it special? You do, of course. And Amber, too. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it involve a farm.
I have 2 lessons today. Family are not disposable, and don't use cows as bagpipes. I think that brings the farm in, so.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!
Howdy, folks. I'm a persnickety partridge preening in a pearlescent... Howdy, folks. I'm a persnickety partridge. Howdy, folks. I'm a persnickety partridge preening itself in a pearlescent pearl tree. Howdy, folks. I'm a...